All right. Snacks for Colin. Snacks for Colin. Okay. Hello, everybody. I know most of you. I don't know some of you. My name's Lauren. My curatorial partner, Kat, is on the way. She's holding down the fort at spring break. Yeah, we've been there all week. I don't know if you guys have gone or not, but if you haven't, we're booth E21. You guys can go check us out for the last day. Anyway, tonight is Artist Curated Cinema. It is a bi-weekly program that we host here at the Czar Bar on Sundays from 7 to 10. It's part artist talk, part movie screening. It's a really fun way to introduce emerging artists to the community and to revisit or be introduced to awesome new films in a very unique scope. So, tonight we have Colin Radcliffe, ceramist based in Brooklyn. And I'm not going to say anything else. I'm going to leave it all to Colin. And we're going to get started. So, give it a Colin.
Hi, I'm Colin. Surprise. Okay, so can everyone hear me?
Is it up? Is it loud?
Okay, there we go. Hello. Cool. So those are my ceramics. If you didn't know. So they're all made of porcelain, and then fired to cone 5. And for those of you that don't know that much about ceramics, if you use an electric kiln, the cones determine the temperature. So cone 5 is very hot. It's about 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit. Most of the glazes that I use, which are what ends up being the color, are pretty much all commercial, but I mix a lot of high fire and low fire glazes, especially glazes that are meant for children or classrooms, just because the colors are consistent and pretty. So those are all ceramics from around 2015 and 2016. Okay, we're gonna get into the meat of it. So originally when I was making ceramics, they were about loved ones that I knew who had passed away, or esoterica, mediumship, loss, just generally. The purple one on the left is actually my grandmother. So when I was in college, I'd come home and I was actually found her just a few minutes after she passed away. So that was the position that I found her in. And I decided to make her purple because that was her favorite color, and she always wore tracksuits in single color. So that's her. And then the one on the right is my friend from high school who, right before I graduated, was hit by a car and passed away. Sorry, it's so happy, everybody. So I try to work in things that are related to the person when I'm making a piece. So the reason that the legs or the pants are purple checkered is because I had a pair of pants that he had really wanted, so I made sure to give those to him in his casket because too late. Then I started to transition more into making work about myself, so even more autobiographical. And I was making work about, I'd just been diagnosed with a chronic disease. Technically it's an autoimmune disease, but it causes inflammation in my digestive system. So that's kind of what it feels like. I'm totally fine now. So, yeah, there you go. We're gonna get happier, don't worry. More recently, the last 2 years or so, I've been making pretty much work just about queer love, sex and intimacy, and mostly the figures that I'm making are either myself or partners that I've had, but they're not direct representations of any particular partner. It's usually mixed with my feelings about them in some way. This one's called Spanky. I don't know if you could guess why. So these are 2 more, same deal. Again, I use a lot of different types of glazes. So some of them are matte, some of them are glossy. The figure on the right has a little heart tattoo that says me. Because you should all remember to love yourself and have fun. Okay, so this is actually about a partner that I had very briefly. Not a big fan. So they happened to be very well endowed, but they were annoying. And all I really wanted to do was have sex or have fun, and they could take care of themselves, and they did. So these are two pieces that are related in some ways. The one on the left, I had made about the first person that I dated. It's called Daisy Boy, and it's actually more of a self-portrait. So whenever I would go to visit him, in between the places that we lived was a field of wildflowers that I would have crossed through. So I'd always pick flowers to give him because it was on the way. Didn't work out, but it's fine. The one on the right is actually, I had gone through a long period of time where I didn't have any kind of romantic partner, but then when I finally did, it was very exciting and refreshing. So I wanted to make a piece about that feeling of, oh, finally someone's back in the picture. So that one's called Flowers for Me. And the glazes that are used in that one are, the really bright colors are actually children's glazes in my classroom. They're technically meant for cone 05 and 04, but they can go all the way up to cone 6 at least. And then there's a few other glazes on there that are technically low fire, but it's fine. So now I've started making figures with objects, specifically cell phones. And this, if you don't know what Grindr is, it's called it's a gay dating app. And that's the logo. So this piece is called Grindr Guy. And there's actually a really funny story about this piece. I sold it to a woman upstate, and after I sold it to her, she was telling me, oh, you know, it's actually not for me, it's a gift. I was like, oh, okay, great. I was like, it's a gift for my husband. I was like, oh, do you know what it is? She's like, oh, well, yeah, I looked it up, but I like to just think that the figure's reading a book. All right, just hope you don't have any gay people over and you tell them that your husband has his piece, because they might be a little confused. It's also one of my favorite glazes, that blue. It's turquoise, and it's actually super, super runny, which is why it looks jagged on the bottom. It kind of just melts right off. But it's also a beautiful color and very soft. But I've also been making a lot of other figures with cell phones, because I started to think about how I interact with other queer people and how it's shifted over time, where in the past, many people would meet in historically queer spaces or gay bars, but now a lot of that's done through technology, like Grindr or Tinder or other apps. I've just been thinking a lot about queer belonging and intimacy in relation to technology and how gay people meet other gay people today. This is a crowd pleaser. It's called Dick Pic. Surprise. So this was a pretty happy accident. The pink modeling wasn't supposed to happen. I mixed two different glazes that are not really supposed to go together, and I've never been able to replicate it since. So it's the only piece that's probably ever going to look like that. But yeah, again, I was just thinking about technology and how, I guess, the millennial generation interacts with each other in the dating sphere, and how dick pics are very common. Okay, so this was someone else that I dated very briefly. started off really great, and then it wasn't. And this piece is actually called Skinny Legend Wannabe, which is Skinny Legend is kind of gay slang. You could look it up later if you want. But long story short, this person told me that they were a skinny legend. I was not a skinny legend, and it didn't go much longer than that. So the cell phone, I wanted to make it seem like they were taking a selfie, but I wanted to show how I actually felt about them. Also, the other thing is I mix glazes a lot that technically are not supposed to go together. So one of these is technically that color, the skin tone color, wasn't supposed to be that color. It was also supposed to be totally matte, but it came out this very weird satiny texture because I mixed an overglaze and an underglaze together. And then I used black slip for the hair and the legs. And slip is just colored clay, basically. So now this is what I've been doing a lot of the time, is making these cell phones. And thinking about a way to start using text in the work that I'm making, and also to do something that's a little more humorous or less emotionally taxing. So, there you have it. Ex-lover phone call and a booty call. Okay, so this is what if you were on Grindr chats look like. And the one on the left isn't an exchange that I exactly had, but something I've wanted to say to a few people. The one on the right is actually verbatim something, more or less verbatim, something that someone said to me, because they kept sending messages over a long period of time until I guess they reached a breaking point. But I like making these, they're fun. And I think they're fun to laugh at. Like, wow, people really say these things. Okay, these are also kind of a joke for me. Because send nudes is, obviously a very popular meme sort of thing. People love to say it. People also love to get them, or some people, I guess, like to send them. But the funny thing about a Nokia, I actually had one when I was younger. It was the first cell phone I had. You couldn't actually send photos on them, so wouldn't actually work. And then reminders, you're gay, because can't forget. I also make ones that are a little more sensitive or playful. So there you have it. It's also really nice to get. I don't really use Snapchat that much. It's not my favorite social media platform, but it is nice when something like that happens, where they replay the thing we sent them, and then they take a picture of it, and then they have to say something about it. Alright, oh, you really like that dumb picture of a cat that he sent. Okay, so these are also pretty verbatim. Obviously, I changed the name on the one on the left from who it was sent from, Perennial Lover. I don't know how many other people have these, but I'm sure someone must. Lovers that just come back every once in a while, like perennial plants. The cell phone on the right was completely verbatim a conversation or text that someone sent me, and I'd been seeing them for maybe a month. And they became very, very possessive, very fast. And I think I was at work or something, and then I just started getting all these messages from them, and crazy. They actually, I'm totally fine, just to preface the story. They showed up at my apartment once and got in. Yeah, scary, but it was fine. Okay, so this is a departure from the ceramic work that I make. I also take selfies, as I call them. And for a long time I was very hesitant to consider photographs as part of the work that I make, or part of my body of work, just because I'm not trained as a photographer. I really don't know that much about photos or cameras or really anything in that realm. It's a very foreign language and format for me. But it's been a way for me to become more comfortable with myself and my body and my identity, so here you have it. This one also, I was just thinking about queerness a little bit and how fruit and flowers are usually used to describe, at least in the past, in a derogatory way, gay people. Say someone's a fruitcake, or they're fruity, or they're a pansy. Those are all things that I like, by the way. Here's 2 more photos of me. So the one on the left was taken on my 23rd birthday. And then the one on the right is my 24th birthday, and I'm overdue for my 25th birthday. So I'm gonna, I think, continue this series, photos that are similar. It's mostly been just a fun thing for me to do. I also think a lot about camp and kitsch in terms of queer culture and photography, and again, identity. A lot of the clothes that I actually wear in these photos are clothes that I wear normally, so they're not really props or outfits so much as actual wardrobe that I wear all the time. Also, a lot of the clothes that I wear are actually for women, but clothes don't have gender. There I am again. Surprise. The book that I'm actually holding is one of my sketchbooks where I plan out the ceramic figures and foams. And another thing that I do is I also paint, but not as frequently as I make ceramics, by far. So I used to make paintings about mediumship and dying, and I would use a lot of symbolism and a lot of numerology. So in the red sun, that's actually a symbol called the flower of life, which is meant to be a symbol of eternity or eternal life. 3 hands, a Ouija board, some of the plants in the corner are about life and resurrection. These are more recent paintings from the last couple years. The one on the left is titled Love is Dead. And if you can't really, it might be a little hard to see, but in the grave is written love. I also really love flowers, I don't know if you can tell. So the one on the right is actually titled Thanks for the Flowers I Gave Myself. Because you should give yourself flowers sometimes, because you're not always going to get them from someone else. I also, again, I'm really interested in symbolism, so certain flowers mean certain things. Historically, horns actually were a symbol of divinity before halos were, so they were used, at least in pagan cultures, to denote someone that was special or enlightened. The one on the left is an oil painting on paper. Oh, they're all oil paintings, by the way. The one on the left is titled Don't Break Up With Me Over Text. And the one on the right is just titled Nancy. And again, wow, flowers. Okay, so here's my announcement. I have a solo show opening up at Equity Gallery. It opens April 12th, which is a Friday. Yeah, it'd be great if you all came. Okay, and the last slide is sort of an outro into the movie that I selected. The movie's called Closet Monster, and it's sort of like a surrealist coming-of-age story. Yeah, enjoy it. It's interesting. Ta-da!
Yay! Yay!
Does anyone have any questions about anything?
How big are the ceramics?
Oh, that's a good question. They're all like that big. Like they could all fit in your hand more or less. Like 6 by 6 by 6 inches, give or take a couple inches here and there.
I have a question. Can you give us a little elevator pitch about why you chose the movie? Did you
Yeah.
speak about that already? I'm sorry if you did.
I mean, just very briefly.
Okay.
So the movie is technically a Canadian drama, but some parts are funny, some parts are sad, and it's the main character is 18 years old, about to go to college and coming to terms with his own sexuality. So in that way, kind of mirrors any young gay or queer person's coming of age. So for me personally, that was the age when I came out to my parents. Actually 2 weeks before I went to college. So I figured that was a good time to do it. So there are some parallels with my own personal life that I share with this character. And I also just think the movie is really a great opener into that kind of experience.
Any other questions? Cool. Well, thanks again, Colin.